Colorado High School Activities Association baseball is on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. From Alt, Colorado, the Brush Beat Diggers face the Highland Alt Huskies. Good afternoon, I'm Kevin Fergus. We're just finishing up the warm-up pitches. The first pitch is brought to you by Buildings by Design. First impressions are important. Buildings by Design will make your vision a reality. We'll go through the Beat Digger starting lineup. It's brought to you by B&B Appliance. With over 30 years of experience, B&B Appliance can help match the appliances to your needs. Stop by 502 Ensign Street in Fort Morgan. For the Brush Beat Diggers, Landon Mesh leads off. Ben Metlin will hit second. Percy Odell will hit third. The pitcher for Highland is Bingley. Got to find his first name, John Bingley. I'll give some stats on him. So Mesh first, Metlin second, Odell third, Romero, Trey Romero hitting fourth, Dylan Krob hitting fifth, Keaton Gillick hitting sixth, Caleb Jimenez hitting seventh. The pitch, and that ball hit out towards left field or towards right field, and that's going to be up and over the fence, and that's a home run for Landon Mesh. First pitch of the ball game, and Landon Mesh crushed it right down the right field line and over the fence. Wow. What a way to start for the Brush Beat Diggers. They take a 1-0 lead here in the top of the first inning on the road. The home run by Landon Mesh. Good job, Landon. Didn't even get through all the lineup. So Mesh, Metlin, Odell, Romero, Krob, Gillick. Caleb Jimenez hits seventh. Eli Klein hits eighth. And River Hodgson hits ninth. For Highland Alt, Kenny Garcia in left. DeAndre De Hoyos in center, Tracy Van Gilder in right. And he was the one that had his face up against the fence as the ball went over. Pitch from Bingley to Metlin upstairs, ball one. Donovan Juarez is third, as that third pitch swung at and fouled at the plate. Stetson Hendren is shortstop. Sawyer Morgan is the second baseman. DJ Rogers is the first base. As I mentioned, John Bingley is on the mound, and a freshman, Byron Berkheimer, is behind the plate for the Highland Huskies. 1-1 pitch to Ben Metlin. Oh, boy, what did I do here? Percy's on first base. Ben Metlin's on first. Percy's at the plate. So I missed something. Amber, how did Ben get on base? Okay, catcher's interference. Catcher's interference is how Ben Metlin got on first base. And Percy lines out to the shortstop, and they're going to do the double play. Ben Metlin is out at first. The umpire on the infield called that as boy, I'm starting off badly here, folks. I apologize. Ben Metlin reached on a catcher's interference, and Percy Odell on a 1-1 pitch lined out to Stetson Hendren, and Hendren over to Rogers at first for the double play. 2 outs in the inning. Trey Romero comes to the plate. Pitch to Romero in the dirt. Evens the count. 1 ball, 1 strike. And that ball's fouled back and over the screen. Pitches inside to Trey Romero. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Romero. Pitch from Bingley. A pitch just outside. That was ball 4. We will catch up with everything that we've got going on here. And that brings to the plate Dylan Krob. And we've got a courtesy runner. Malachi Teal comes on for Trey Romero at first base. So Brush leads off with Landon Mesh with a home run down the right field line. 310 down the right field line, 309 left field line. They don't have a sign in center field, but I'm going to guess it's probably about 340, 350. Dylan Krob comes to the plate with Teal on at first. And that pitch is upstairs, wild pitch. Teal moves up to second base on the wild pitch. Krob ahead in the count, 1 ball, no strikes. I think I got excited with Landon Mesh's home run. First pitch, swinging, first pitch, hit out over the right field fence for a 1-0 lead for the Beat Diggers. Teal leads off at second, the pitch, and that ball's fouled up and over the screen by Dylan Krob. 1 ball, 1 strike. John Bingley on the hill for Highland Alt. They are 2-2. Bingley's ERA is 1.91. 11 innings pitched. The pitch upstairs to Krob. 2 balls and a strike. 11 innings. In those 11 innings, worked 13 base on balls. So we can say that he's going to walk guys, just as he did with Trey Romero. And 19 strikeouts in those 11 innings. So about a 1.5. Krob checks his swing. And it's ball 3. Pitch was upstairs. Krob did check his swing. So 3 balls, 1 strike. 2 outs here in the top of the first inning. Brush with a 1-0 lead. Malachi Teal leads off at second base. Bingley gets a sign, the 3-1 count. The pitch is on its way. And that pitch is upstairs, ball 4. Runners at first and second. Krob on at first. The umpire called Krob back after about 10 steps towards first and said, no, that was just ball 3. But Coach Odell stepped in, asked the umpire, and he checked with his partner on the field, and he said that was 4 balls. So we do have runners at first and second. Teal at second, Krob at first. Keaton Gillick steps in, and now Byron Burkheimer is going to go out and talk to his senior pitcher, John Bingley, just to make sure that they've got their signs set. As I mentioned, freshman catcher for the Huskies. So runners first and second, 2 outs. Brush with a 1-0 lead. The pitch from Bingley, and that up and over the screen, foul ball. Gillick had a good cut at a pitch that was letter high. One thing I see with Highland, pitch, and that one's right down the middle, but fouled back and over the screen. So Gillick down on the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Highland Huskies are 2-2 on the season. They beat Byers 23-2 and Platte Valley 13-10, and they are part of the Lower Platte League in 2A, and they lost to Haxton 17-10. And then they did play Valley, and they lost 17-12 to Valley. So their record 2-2. Malachi Teal takes third base, stolen. So runners at first and third. Count 1 ball, 2 strikes. Now we got a balk by the pitcher. So runners move up, Krob to second. Malachi Teal comes in, crossing the plate. Brush with a 2-0 lead. Keaton Gillick with a 1-2 count. Krob at second. The pitch upstairs, wild pitch, and Krob goes to third. 3 balls, 2 balls, 2 strikes to Keaton Gillick. Bingley just seems like he wants to reach back and get an extra mile or two behind himself, and Jillick strikes out. Pitch down and away, but he swung at it and missed. So for Brush, in the top of the first inning, they scored 2 runs on 1 hit. There were no errors, and there was 1 runner left on base. So after a half inning, Brush 2, Highland Alt 0. You're listening to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. We're back to Highland Alt baseball field at the high school here in Alt. Trey Romero will be on the hill for the Brush Beat Diggers, 4.20 ERA, 5 innings pitched, 5 base on balls, 8 strikeouts. Eli Klein will be behind the plate. Left to right in the outfield, River Hodgson in left, Dylan Krob in center, Caleb Jimenez in right, Ben Metlin at third, Percy Odell at short, Landon Mesh at first, Keaton Jillick at first. Landon Mesh at second, Keaton Jillick at first. For the Highland Huskies, Sawyer Morgan steps in. First pitch from the left-handed pitching Trey Romero, low and inside, ball 1. Romero gets a sign from Klein, the pitch, and that pitch is upstairs, ball 2. Sawyer Morgan steps in, senior. He's hitting .500 on the season, 7 hits, 11 RBIs. And that pitch is upstairs by Trey Romero. 3 balls, no strikes to the leadoff hitter, Sawyer Morgan. Stetson Hendren is on deck. DJ Rogers in the hole. The pitch right down the middle. Strike. 3 balls and a strike. We'll set Brush's field here after Sawyer Morgan walks down to first base after that pitch was outside, ball 4. Highlands lineup, Sawyer Morgan leads off. Stetson Hendren is hitting second to the plate right now. DJ Rogers will hit third. Donovan Juarez will hit fourth. Trey Romero gets a sign. 3-step lead, the pitch, upstairs, ball. Byron Berkheimer hits 5th. John Bingley hits 6th. Trey Van Gilder hits 7th. DeAndre De Hoyos hits 8th. Pitch from Romero. Strike right down the middle. Belt high. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Kenny Garcia, freshman, hits 9th for the Huskies. Brush with a 2-0 lead. Pitch from Romero. Swung at and missed. Head in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Sawyer Morgan leads off. 2-step, 3-step lead. Left-handed pitching Romero to the plate. Curveball in the dirt. Pass ball. Evens a count at 2 balls, 2 strikes. But Morgan moves to second base on the pass ball. Just got underneath the glove of Eli Klein and skipped away about 8 to 10 feet. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Brush wearing their gray pants. Pitch fouled back and over the screen. Brush has their gray pants with their gold jerseys with the maroon accents, the Brush Beat Diggers, and the numbers, the numerals in maroon. 2-2, Romero, pitch upstairs, full count. 57 degrees, game time temperature. The full count, payoff pitch, and that ball is fouled away out over this screen, out into the field. Sawyer Morgan on at second. Brush with a 2-0 lead. Bottom of the first inning, the pitch upstairs, ball 4. So Morgan walks, Hendren walks, DJ Rogers comes to the plate. DJ Rogers, 417 on the season. He has a home run. Big Husky guy. He's the first baseman. Runners at first and second. Romero the sign, the pitch. And that ball hit back towards Landon Mesh. And Percy wasn't standing on the bag. And so the runner, Hendren, is in at second safely. So infield hit. Because I'm not sure if Percy could get there to that base after Landon fielded. I suppose it would be fielder's choice. Could be, yes, fielder's choice. We'll call it a hit. First pitch, a strike to Donovan Juarez, hitting .438 on the season. The 0-1, that pitch upstairs. 1 ball, 1 strike. Bases loaded, nobody out. Brush with a 2-0 lead. Juarez, a senior, at the plate, and that ball hit out to left field. Looks like everybody's going to tag, and that ball is at the fence. Morgan comes in and scores. Hendren comes in and scores. So this tied up 2-2. That ball was hit to left center field. A long single that scored 2 runs because everybody was going to tag up. And it landed on the warning track, and Hodgson and Krob were getting there, but not as quick as what we'd like. So 2-2, bottom of the first. Runners at first and second, nobody out, and a wild pitch. And now the runners move up to second and third on the wild pitch. That's what we've seen with Highland. High scores. 23-2, 13-10, 17-10, 17-12. Goodness, pitch to Berkheimer, the freshman, a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Runners at second and third for the Huskies. And that pitch just a little bit high. 2 balls and a strike. Trey Romero from the full windup. Pitch, and that pitch is upstairs. 3 balls, 1 strike. Trey's having a hard time locating his fastball. Everything is up. 3-1, and that pitch at the knees, outside corner. Full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Nobody out. Highland has scored 2 here in the bottom of the first, and that pitch. Ball 4 just outside. We'll see if Coach Keith Juarez does a courtesy runner for his catcher. Doesn't look like it. John Bingley, the senior pitcher, steps to the plate. Bingley's batting average, .083. But he's been on base, 8 base on balls, but he strikes out at a pretty good clip too. The first pitch at the knees, a strike. He's got 8 base on balls, but he's also struck out 9 times. The 0-1 pitch, and that ball is drilled to left field and into the parking lot. 3-run home run. Highland with a 5-2 lead over the Brush Beet Diggers after that home run. I guess that was a grand slam home run, so it's 6-0. That pitch was belt high, middle of the plate, and Bingley did not miss. So Coach Odell will go out and talk with his charges at the mound. Talk to Trey Romero and find out, make sure he's doing all right. 25 pitches by Trey at this point of the first inning. Nobody out. 13 balls, 12 strikes. Coach Odell walking back to the dugout. Trey Van Gilder, sophomore, comes to the plate. His batting average, he doesn't have a batting average. Right fielder for the Huskies. Stands in on the left side, curveball. Strike right over the inside part of the plate to the left-handed hitting Van Gilder. Trey Romero, the sign, working with Eli Klein, the pitch. And that pitch, a strike. Whatever Coach Odell said to Trey Romero was, hey, let's throw some strikes and do a little action with those balls. Pitch is low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Finally, Trey has the same number of strikes as he does balls, 14 in each. And that pitch low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Romero, the pitch, and that pitch swung at and missed. Strike out number 1 for Trey Romero. One out, pitch, strike to DeAndre De Hoyos, center fielder, senior center fielder for the Huskies. Romero getting his pitch on where things are working better for him. That pitch was up and away. Count evens, 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1. That pitch, a strike at the knees. Trey Romero ahead in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Highland Huskies with a 6-2 lead. 6 runs on 3 hits, and that pitch swung at and missed. Strike 3. 2 outs in the inning, and Romero will face the number 9 hitter in the lineup, Kenny Garcia. Kenny Garcia hitting 167. Kenny's reached base 5 times via the base on ball, and that pitch, a strike right down the middle. Took a little bit off, but nice effective pitch by Trey Romero. Ahead in the count, no balls and a strike. And that pitch just outside. Count evens at 1. Eli Klein looks to the dugout, gets his sign from Coach Odell. The pitch, and that pitch is upstairs to Kenny Garcia, the left fielder for the Huskies. As I mentioned, 57 degrees. It's overcast skies. Pitch from Romero. That pitch is upstairs. 3 balls and a strike to the number 9 hitter, Kenny Garcia, and that pitch inside, ball 4. So far, Highland has been able to get all those base on balls, 3 of them, now the 4th in the first inning. Scored, 3 of them have scored, and that pitch, 58-foot pitch, bounced to Eli Klein, and Kenny Garcia takes second on the wild pitch. Romero, the sign from Klein, and the pitch, and that ball's fouled out of play. 2 outs. Highland Huskies with a 6-2 lead, first inning. John Bingley crushed it into left center field for a grand slam home run. That pitch is just outside. 2 balls and a strike to Sawyer Morgan, who walked his first at bat. Romero, the pitch, and that pitch swung at and missed. Count evens, 2 and 2, 2 outs. Garcia on at second. First inning, we're 24 minutes into this first inning. Lots of scoring. And that pitch just outside. Count evens, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Trey Romero is not doing himself any favors by throwing all these extra pitches, and that pitch is low and in the dirt. And we've got an out at third base. So Morgan walks, but Kenny Garcia was picked off as he tried to steal third. So that was from Eli Klein to Ben Metlin, 2-5 on the putout. So for Highland, they scored 6 runs on 3 hits. There was 1 runner left on base. There were no errors by the Brush Beat Diggers. So after 1 complete inning of play, Highland 6, Brush 2. You're listening to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. Kevin Fergus with you on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. We go to the top of the second inning. Highland Huskies with a 6-2 lead over your Brush Beat Diggers. Caleb Jimenez will come to the plate. Caleb hitting .294 on the season. And Caleb is hitting in the 7 hole for the Beat Diggers. Plays right field. John Bingley finishes his last pitch warm-up. And they throw it up and kind of around the horn and back to Bingley. Bingley hit the grand slam in the bottom of the first inning. It was 2-2 at that point, and Bingley grand slam with obviously bases loaded in order to give Highland that 6-2 lead. First pitch from Bingley to Jimenez, a ball. Bingley working quickly, that pitch inside. 2 balls, no strikes. Pitch just a little bit low. 3 balls, no strikes to number 11, Caleb Jimenez. Eli Klein stands in the on-deck circle. Bingley, that pitch, ball 4. Pitch went to the screen. Jimenez to first, rounds but stays on the bag. Eli Klein comes to the plate, junior catcher for the Beat Diggers. Leads the team in hit by pitches. He's been hit 5 times. Bingley, pitch, just outside, ball 1. Jimenez, 3-step lead. Bingley from the stretch. That pitch inside. 2 balls, no strikes to Eli Klein, hitting .214 on the season. Bingley, the offering. That pitch up and out of the zone. 3 balls, no strikes. Eli Klein should be taking. Pitch from Bingley, and that's right down the middle. Belt high, center cut. 3 balls and a strike. Jimenez taken off, and the throw down, and Jimenez has second base stolen. Pitch was a strike. So Jimenez on at second, full count to Eli Klein. Nobody out for the Beat Diggers here in the top of the second inning. That pitch, it's foul territory, and it is playable, by John Bingley over by the Brush Beet Diggers dugout. He beat DJ Rogers to that. And so an out on the pop-up by the dugout. So one out. Eli Klein at second. I'm sorry. Caleb Jimenez at second. River Hodgson to the plate. And that pitch right down the middle. A strike to River Hodgson. Hodgson hitting .294 on the season. That pitch swung at by Hodgson. Strike two. The pitch was letter high on the outside part of the plate. Hodgson had a good cut at it. Down on the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Strike three. Hodgson swings through that pitch for the second out. Landon Mesh, Mr. HR, comes to the plate for the Diggers. First pitch that Mesh saw, he crushed. Runner on at second, and that pitch, Landon swung mightily but missed. No balls and a strike, 2 outs. Highland 6-2 over the Beet Diggers. Jimenez leads off at second, and that pitch upstairs. Count evens at 1. Bingley's got 40 pitches, and he has more balls, 23 balls, 17 strikes. And that ball popped up. Donovan Juarez over. John Bingley back and makes the grab just in foul ground. I thought that play probably should have been the third baseman's, but a pop out and Brush pops out twice in the top of the second inning. So for the Beet Diggers, no runs, no hits, no errors, 1 runner left on base. The score after 1.5 innings of play, Highland 6, Brush 2. You're listening to Beet Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. Welcome back to Beet Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. First pitch from Trey Romero to Stetson Hendren, fouled down the third baseline. Brush trailing 6-2 as we go to the bottom of the second inning. Pitch from Romero. Took a lot off that pitch, and Hendren was out on his front foot and swung through that pitch. So Romero heading the count, no balls and 2 strikes. The offering from Romero, and that ball's popped up. Shallow center field, Percy Odell out, and it lands in between Odell, Krob, and Mesh in short right center field for a double. So Hendren on at second. DJ Rogers, 1 for 1, comes to the plate. Pitch from Romero, and that one, Romero took a lot off that pitch. This breaking ball is working, and Highland is getting out on their front foot. They've not seen a left-handed breaking ball break the way Trey Romero gets his to be able to drop off the table. The 0-1 pitch. Pitch upstairs. Count evens, 1-1. Romero 50 pitches, 25 balls, 25 strikes. Hendren on at second. Pitch from Romero. And that ball is popped up. Keaton Gillick settles underneath it, and Gillick drops it for the error by the first baseman. Well, that hurts. But Hendren did not advance, so runners at first and second. Nobody out here in the bottom of the second inning. This is the same situation we were in before. Runners at first and second. And Donovan Juarez at the plate, and he had a single, his first at bat, and that pitch, a ball to Juarez. See if Trey can wiggle out of this mess. The 1-0 pitch just outside, 2 balls, no strikes. The pitch from Romero, inside, 3 balls, no strikes. Byron Berkheimer on deck. Trey Romero, Eli Klein working together. The offering, strike, letter high right down the middle. 3 balls and a strike. No runs here in the inning, and pickoff, and we've got Hendren between second and third, and the ball's gone back and forth several times, and they run Hendren down. Hendren is out. Jillick is the one that made the out. So picked off. Here, and then here. And that makes that an out. And the runner, DJ Rogers, remained at first base. So 1 out in the inning, 3 balls and a strike to the batter at the plate. And he walks, Juarez walks. So Rogers moves up to second, and Juarez to first base. Second time he's been on base. Byron Berkheimer comes to the plate. He walked his last at bat. Bank of Colorado, they believe in keeping things simple. Apply for a loan that you need for your dream home fully online. Visit bankofcolorado.com for all the information today. The pitch from Romero upstairs to Berkheimer. So Brush got Hendren out as they picked him off. DJ Rogers, Donovan Juarez, runners at first and second. Not fleet of foot, but the pitch from Romero to Berkheimer, a strike. Count evens at 1. See if Brush can get out of this inning with a double play. Wouldn't that be sweet? And that pitch, a strike. If Trey Romero throws strikes, then maybe he can get out of the inning in another way. Strike him out. Here we go, the pitch. And that pitch fouled off at the plate, but dropped and in the dirt. Romero, 60 pitches, 30 strikes, 30 balls. The pitch, the 1-2. Upstairs to Berkheimer. Romero, Klein, timeout at the plate by Berkheimer. Granted by the umpire. Six to 2, Highland Huskies over the Brush Bee Diggers. Bottom of the second inning. Pitch just outside. Full count. A payoff pitch coming for the freshman Berkheimer. He's hitting 300 coming into this game. And that pitch was just inside, and that's his second time that he's walked. Bases are loaded. This is the exact same situation we were in the bottom of the first inning. John Bingley, with an .083 batting average, came to the plate and crushed a pitch out into the parking lot for a grand slam to give the Huskies a 6-2 lead. Bases are loaded, 1 out, and that pitch, 58 pitch, in the dirt and to the screen. DJ Rogers comes in on the wild pitch. All the runners move up. Berkheimer at second, Juarez at third. DJ Rogers scored. Huskies with a 7-2 lead. Bingley at the plate. Romero the pitch. Swung at and missed. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 out. Bingley, the number 6 hitter in the lineup and the pitcher for the Huskies today. Wears number 1 on his back, the pitch. Pitch low and in the dirt. 2 balls and a strike. Huskies with their white uniforms, and they've got their green and gold Huskies across their chest and numbers front and back. Pinstripes. Pitch. Swung at and missed. Count evens at 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes to John Bingley. The 2-2 with 1 out. The pitch. Strike 3, outside corner. Bat was still on his shoulder. Everybody's staying right where they are. Juarez at third. Berkheimer at second. Trey Van Gilder struck out swinging his first at bat. See if Trey Romero can be aggressive with him here and get another strikeout. And that pitch is to the screen. And Juarez comes around and scores. The throw from Klein to Romero was fielded by Landon Mesh. Berkheimer moves up to second. To third. Juarez scored. Wild pitch. So 8-2, Highland Huskies, and that pitch swung at and missed by Van Gilder. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs in the inning. Huskies have scored 2 here in the bottom of the second inning on 1 pitch, and that pitch hits Van Gilder on the wrist. He'll run down to first base. And he's rubbing it pretty good. He's going to take just a little bit of time. Umpire's going to give him that a little bit of time in order to make sure he's got feeling in his hand. So runners at first and third. DeAndre De Hoyos, he struck out also. Thatcher Queen is going out to right field. Trey Romero will go to first. And Keaton Gillick will go to the mound. Let's just go ahead. I'm sorry, no, not Keaton Gillick. Ben Metlin's going to go to the mound. So let's see here. Equitable Savings and Loan. Borrow locally from people you know. Equitable has been providing personal bankers to help you through all the steps. Stop by one of 10 locations across the plains or visit equitable-savings.com. So it looks like Romero is going to go to first base. Jimenez is going to go to third. Thatcher Queen is going to right field. Ben Metlin is on the hill. And let's see, do we have any other changes? I think that's going to be it. So we'll save that. Okay. All right. So Highland, they've scored 2 runs on 1 hit here in the bottom of the second inning. Brush committed 1 error. Runners are going to be at first and third. Van Gilder at first via the hit by pitch. Berkheimer at third via the walk. DeAndre De Hoyos comes to the plate. Ben Metland steps in with a 1.75 ERA and 4 innings pitched. 3 base on balls and 4 strikeouts from the stretch. The pitch swung at and missed by De Hoyos. And Van Gilder takes second. Defensive indifference. So runners at second and third, 2 outs, and that ball hit out towards Dylan Krob in center field. Krob comes in, makes the catch, 3 outs for Highland. So they scored 2 runs on 1 hit. There was 1 beat digger error, and there are 2 runners left on base after 2 complete innings of play. Highland 8, Brush 2. You're listening to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. Brush Beat Digger Baseball, we go to the top of the 3rd inning with the score Highland 8, Brush 2. Ben Metland, who just was put on the hill, comes to the plate as your hitter in the 3rd inning. Brush 2 runs on a hit. They've got an error and 2 runners left on base. You know, the one thing with Highland, their team fielding average in their 4 games that they've played so far is .845. They've had 16 errors. So that comes out to 4 errors per game. My math is correct. So they're due for some errors. See if Brush can benefit from that. Brush come into the game with a .935 team fielding average, and in the 7 games that Brush has played, they've had 12 errors. So that's about a 1.5 per game. Brush 5-2 on the season, 2-0 in league. They beat Valley 1-0. They lost to Prospect Ridge 11-0. They beat Bennett 11-4 and Alamosa 12-2. And then they lost to Eaton 13-2. That Alamosa game and the Eaton game were down at Runyon Field in Pueblo. Last week on Thursday, Brush beat Res Christian, league game, 7-1. And then on Friday, they played Fowler and beat Fowler. And Fowler is number 1 in 2A. And Brush beat them 4-1. So John Bingley on the hill facing Ben Metland. Metland walked his first at bat. And that pitch, Bingley reached back for a little bit extra juice, and he threw it by his catcher to the screen. Ball 1. Pitch from Bingley. That ball hit out towards third baseman. Juarez picks it up over, and Metland is out 5-3 on the putout by Juarez. Slow roller. Metland gets down the line. It was a close play at first base. Perciodal comes to the plate. 0 for 1. He lined out to the shortstop Hendren in the first inning. And that pitch just outside, ball 1. Perciodal hitting .409 on the season. 9 hits, 4 RBIs, 2 doubles. Complete ball player for the Beat Diggers, and that ball hit down the left field line. That's going to be for extra bases. Odell rounds first into second, standing up. That's his 3rd double on the season. Percy just hit the ball hard right over Juarez's head as the 3rd baseman down the left field line. Kenny Garcia is over in left field, picks it up and gets it back into the infield. But Odell at second. 1 out here in the top of the 3rd inning. Trey Romero steps in to hit. And the pitch from Bingley, a strike, outside corner, belt high. The 0-1, and that pitch, same location, belt high, outside corner. So Trey Romero, hitting .412 on the season, down in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. And that ball hit back up the middle. Odell over to third. Romero is out at first on the scoop by DJ Rogers. Hendren picked it up and threw over to first, and one hop, and Rogers scooped it up. So 6-3 on the putout by Hendren to Rogers. Odell, since the ball was hit behind him, moved up to third base. So 2 outs. Highland with an 8-2 lead over the Beat Diggers. Dylan Krob comes to the plate. He walked his last at bat. Percy Odell on at third. See if Brush can push a run across here with 2 outs in the 3rd inning to narrow the gap a little bit. The pitch, and that ball swung at and missed by Krob. Count evens, 1 ball and 1 strike to Dylan Krob. Krob hitting .250 on the season. Center fielder for the Brush Beat Diggers wears number 8 on his back. The pitch from Bingley, and that pitch upstairs. 2 balls, 1 strike. Bingley gets a sign from Berkheimer. Bingley the pitch, that ball inside. 3 balls and a strike to Dylan Krob. The offering, and that ball hit out over the first baseman's head into right field. Odell comes in and scores. Single RBI by Dylan Krob. He swung. It wasn't an excuse me single, but it was enough in order to get over the first baseman Rogers and past Morgan and in front of the right fielder for the base hit and RBI. Brush scores the run. Jillick at the plate. Strike to Jillick, inside corner at the knees. So Krob leads off at first, 2-step, 3-step lead, the pitch, and check swing, and the umpire calls it a strike as he went around just a little bit too far. So Jillick in the hole, no balls, 2 strikes. And the pitch from Bingley, and that ball is fouled out of play. Bingley 28 strikes, 28 base on or balls. 56 pitches on the game, the pitch, and that pitch is outside to Keaton Jillick. See if Keaton can put bat on ball and get a base hit here. The pitch upstairs. 2-2 to Jillick. Krob leads off at first. Brush has scored a run here in the top of the 3rd inning. Percy Odell double, and then the Krob ends up with a single and that pitch upstairs to Jillick. And that puts him at first base on the base on ball. Krob moves up to second. That's what I thought. So let's back this up here. So now it's full count to Jillick. But Krob moved up on the stolen base. That's what I had. The pitch was 2-2, and that pitch was up and out of the zone. Make it 3-2. Jillick ran down to first like he knew that's exactly what he's doing. But the umpire ended up checking with his field umpire, and he said, nope, the count's 3-2, the pitch. Now it's ball 4. So Jillick walks the second time in the same at bat. So runners at first and second. Caleb Jimenez comes to the plate. He walked his first at bat. See if Brush can capitalize, put the ball in play, maybe get something happening with Highland. As I mentioned, they average 4 errors per game. That pitch, a ball to Caleb Jimenez. That pitch just outside, 2 balls. Now the pitcher's complaining to the umpire. That's the wrong way to go about it in order to find out where the zone is. And that pitch is upstairs. I've always found that when a pitcher starts complaining to the umpire behind the plate about the zone, the zone gets smaller. 3 balls, no strikes to Caleb Jimenez. Should be taking the pitch and strike at the letters. Three balls and a strike, 2 outs. Runners at first and second for the Beat Diggers. They've scored a run here in the third, and that ball hit out towards left center field, and that ball is going to grab some grass, and Dylan Krob comes around and scores on the single by Caleb Jimenez. Keaton Gillick just moved up to second because everything was still in front of him. So Gillick on at second, Jimenez on at first. Eli Klein comes to the plate. Brush with 2 runs here in the top of the third. And that ball hit out over the shortstop's head. And umpire did not call out. So Gillick comes around and scores. Keith Juarez, the head coach for Highland, is going to come out and just check with Bill Crabtree, the home plate umpire, just to make sure he's not checking with the umpire in the field. So Gillick scores on the single. Jimenez to second, and Eli Klein with a single on at first base. And Trenton Garrett will come in as a courtesy runner for the catcher, Eli Klein. So Brush has scored 3 runs on 3 hits. What do we got here? Everybody's coming off the field. So he's saying that that was a catch? Must be. So we're going to have to back some runs off the board here. So we'll undo that. And we'll do Eli Klein popped out to the shortstop. So, Bill, you had an out by the shortstop? Okay.
Which means the last one does not count. And we have the out for the third.
Okay. Well, Brush scored 1 run on 2 hits. 1 run on 2 hits in the inning. They left 2 runners on base after 2.5 innings of play. It is Highland 8, Brush 4. And we just had to sort through all that. And so we'll just stay right here and move on to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Bailey Mechanical, getting your house the right temperature is difficult. Call 970-522-0471 and let Bailey Mechanical go to work for you. So Ben Metlin on the hill for the Beat Diggers. Kenny Garcia comes to the plate for Highland Huskies. Both teams have 4 hits on the day, but Highland had the grand slam to give them the 8-4 lead. Garcia, the number 9 hitter. Metland, the pitch, and a strike. Metland just throws nice and easy, has a little bit of movement with his pitches. And that ball hit out past Landon Mesh into center field for a base hit by the number 9 hitter, Kenny Garcia. Sawyer Morgan comes to the plate. What actually ended up happening was that wasn't a pop-up by Eli Klein, but I think they had a number incorrect in the scorebook, and Keith Juarez came out, called it to the umpire's attention, and so he was called out because wrong number in the book. Sawyer Morgan hits the ball out to right field, and Thatcher Queen underneath that in order to haul that in for the first out in the inning. So pop out to right field. 1 out in the inning. Kenny Garcia remains at first. Stetson Hendren 1 for 1 on the day with a walk and a double. Garcia with a 4-step lead. And Metland over to first. Pretty close play. Umpire calmly calls safe. From my vantage point, it looked like Trey Romero that left the glove on his right hand. And then now we've got a pass ball. And Kenny Garcia will move up to second. But Romero had that glove on his right hand, put the tag on. It looked like the guy was out. So anyway, ball. Kenny Garcia moves to second on pass ball. You're listening to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. Pitch to Stetson Hendren, a ball. 2 balls, no strikes to Hendren. Garcia on at second. Metland, the offering, and that ball hit towards Percy Odell at third. Over to first. 6-3 on the putout, and Garcia moves up to third. 2 outs in the inning. 6-3 put out. Garcia on at third. DJ Rogers to the plate. 1 for 2. Single and the air. Metland in the pitch, just a little bit outside, low. Highland with an 8-4 lead over Brush Beat Diggers. The pitch, and that fouled off of Eli Klein and to the screen. Count 1 ball, 1 strike. Klein gets a sign from Coach Odell. Metland the pitch, and that ball hit 2 hopper to Percy. 3 hops, and then over to first. Easy 6-3 on the put out. So for Highland, no runs on 1 hit, 1 runner left on base, no Brush Beat Digger errors. After 3 complete innings of play, Highland 8, Brush 4. You're listening to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. At the plate for your Beat Diggers here at the top of the 4th inning. How appropriate. Thatcher wears number 4 on his back, and top of the 4th inning. So Brush's line score so far, 4 runs, 4 hits. They've got an error, and they've left 4 runners on base. Highland with 8 runs, 5 hits, and no errors, and they've got 4 runners left on base. Just over an hour game time, hour and 7 minutes, game time. John Bingley finishing up his warm-up tosses. So as Bingley finishes that up, Western Engineering Consultants since 2003, they've been providing big firm product with small firm relationships. Visit westerneci.com for more. Van Wyck Insurance from over 60 lines to help you find the right one to fit your budget. Stop in to see Van Wyck Insurance today. John Bingley, 66 pitches on the day. Pitch to Thatcher Queen. Strike letter high, outside corner. Bingley working quickly, and that ball swung out and missed by Queen. Strike 2. Thatcher Queen, minimal at bats, 333 average. I think he's 1 for 3, so that makes it easy to compute. The 0-2 pitch, strike 3. Bat still on the shoulder, sorry. First out in the inning. Landon Mesh comes to the plate. Landon, what he needs to do is just put bat on ball and put the ball in play. 1 for 2 on the day. Pitch from Bingley. Pitch upstairs, ball 1. 70 pitches by Bingley. 34 strikes, 36 balls, so he's been all over the place. And that ball swung at and missed by Mesh, strike 1. Count even. Mesh left side, hitting number. Swung at and missed it at the pitch. Mesh coming into the game. Hitting 478. That pitch just outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The 2-2. Strike 3, outside corner, bat on the shoulder. Bingley catching the downhill wind from the mound. Get a little bit of momentum. 2 outs in the inning. Ben Metlin steps in. A walk and a ground out for Ben. Ben pitching right now. The pitch from Bingley, and that pitch is upstairs. Bingley, the pitch, and that ball hit foul down third base line past Coach Odell. Pitch, 2 balls. Pitch was upstairs, 2 balls and a strike to Ben Metlin. Pitch from Bingley to Metlin, upstairs, 3 balls and 1 strike, 2 outs in the inning. Pitch from Bingley, that ball inside, ball 4. Second walk by Metlin. Well, Metlin got on base, catcher's interference his first at bat. Percy Odell comes to the plate, 2 outs. Percy 1 for 2, doubled down the left field line last at bat, scored in the top of the 3rd inning. Here we are at the top of the 4th inning. Bingley the pitch, a little bit high to Odell. I mentioned Odell come into the game hitting 409. Pitch from Bingley. Pitches upstairs. 2-0 to Percy. Highland with 6 runs in the 1st inning, 2 runs in the 2nd inning. Brush with 2 runs in the 1st inning, 2 runs in the 3rd inning. Runner on in the top of the 4th inning, Metlin. Pitch to Odell, ball 3. Brush just has to play smart at this point, claw back their way back in the game. That pitch to Odell, taking all the way. 3 balls and a strike. The pitch from Bingley, and that ball inside, skips off the catcher, but everybody's going to advance a base anyway. So Metland to second, Odell to first. Trey Romero comes to the plate. Number 10 on his back. Coach Odell talking it up to Metland and Odell. Base runners at second and first, respectively. The pitch outside to Trey Romero. Here we are in the 4th inning. Bingley just hit pitch number 85. Not that that's anything to be alarmed at, but pitch number 86 was a ball, so Bingley throwing more balls than strikes, but has the 8-4 lead. The pitch from Bingley, strike at the letters, inside part of the plate. 2 balls and a strike to Trey Romero. See if Trey can advance the runners, score a run here in the 4th inning. The pitch from Bingley, and that ball hit foul down the left field line. 2 balls, 2 strikes. That pitch to Romero inside, past the catcher Berkheimer. Full count. Runners advance to second and third. We'll call that a pass ball. So Odell at second, Metland at third. Romero with a 3-2 count, the payoff pitch. The offering, and Romero hits that down the left field line. Foul. 90 pitches by Bingley. Number 91 on its way, and that ball hit down and out the left side. Foul. So runners at second and third. Base hit, score 2. And that pitch, low and in. The umpire called it right at the knees, inside part of the plate. Strike 3, bat on shoulders. Bingley strikes out the side. So Brush, no runs, no hits, 2 runners left on base. There was no Highland errors. After 3.5 innings of play, Highland 8, Brush 4. You're listening to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. Brush trails 8-4 as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning for Highland. For Highland, Donovan Juarez comes to the plate. Ben Metland finishes up his last warm-up toss. Eli Klein throws down to second. See if Brush can play some good, tough defense right here and hold Highland right where they are at 8 runs, because they're going to be needing to be making a pitching change at some point. Not that it's required. Pitcher can go to 110. Whereas steps in against Ben Metland. The offering from Metland. And that ball hit out to center field. Dylan Krob over to his left. Squeezes the ball for the first out. 1 pitch, 1 out. Byron Berkheimer, who's walked both times, comes to the plate. Ben Metland throwing strikes. The pitch in the dirt. Klein keeps it in front of him. Ball 1. Pitch from Metland. Check swing. Strike. Metland signed from Klein. The pitch just a little bit upstairs. 2 balls and a strike to Berkheimer. You'd think that as a catcher, he sees a lot of pitches. He knows what a strike is. So that's probably why he's walked the last 2 bats. That pitch, a strike, outside corner at the knees. Count evens at 2. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Metland working with Klein. The pitch. Pitch is up and in. Count rides to full. Metland number 9 on his back. Pitch hit out to center field. 1 hop to Krob. Base hit for Berkheimer. Line drive. Just stayed with the pitch and just hit it right where he needed to. So Berkheimer on at first. John Bingley comes to the plate. 1 for 2. But the one that he hit was a grand slam. He struck out last time with the bat on his shoulders. But the home run, he hit a ton, and it was a no-doubter. Pitch from Metland, and throw down on the stolen base attempt by Berkheimer. Berkheimer's in safely. So Berkheimer on at second. Bingley at the plate. 1 ball, no strikes. The offering, pitch. Don't blink. Oh, man, I thought that pitch was right on the outside corner, but umpire called it a ball. They couldn't have missed the black by much. 2-0 to Bingley. That pitch inside. Ball 3. Just as I was bragging on Ben Metland, now he's thrown 6 pitches in a row, balls. That ball was inside, and so Bingley walks. Coach Juarez for the Huskies. His catcher's on at second, his pitcher's on at first, no courtesy runners. Number 7 comes to the plate. Oh, I'm sorry. No, number 3. J.R. Ortiz comes to the plate. Swings at the first pitch. Runners at first and second. 8-4. Highland over the Beat Diggers. Pitch just a little bit low. 1 ball, 1 strike to Ortiz. Ortiz hitting .556 on the season. Limited number of at-bats, that pitch. And umpire called a balk. So runners move up to second and third. The 1-1 count to Ortiz. Runners at second and third, 1 out. 8-4, Highland over Brush. Pitch. Outside corner, letter high. One, 2 to Ortiz. 1 out, the pitch. Swung at and missed, strike 3. Good deal. Way to go, Ben Metland. Needed that strikeout right there. Everybody stays right where they are. So Bingley on at second, Berkheimer on at third. DeAndre De Hoyos comes to the plate. Center fielder, 0 for 2 on the day. De Hoyos was the point guard for the Highland Huskies basketball team this past season. Pitch from Metlin. Strike right down the middle, center cut. Metlin ahead in the count, 0-1 to De Hoyos. Runners at second and third, 2 outs. The pitch just outside. Count even at 1. The offering just outside. 2 balls and a strike to DeAndre De Hoyos, senior. Wears number 2 on his back. 2-1 pitch. Metlin to the plate. Ball 3. I'm sure Coach Odell is not happy that his pitchers aren't throwing strikes. They've given up too many base on balls today. Goodness, goodness, goodness. 2 down. Got to get out of this inning right here. 3-1 count. The pitch swung at and missed. Brings the count full. Payoff pitch from Metlin will be coming. Bases second and third. Runners won't be going anywhere per se, and that ball fouled up and out of play. It's cool up here. There's just a slight breeze. The 3-2 payoff pitch. Metlin to the plate. Swung at and missed. Strike 3. Metlin with a strikeout of De Hoyos. Highland, no runs on 1 hit. There was no brush errors. There were 2 runners left on base. After 4 complete innings of play, Highland 8, Brush 4. You're listening to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. Brush Beat Digger Baseball, we go to the top of the 5th inning with the score 8-4. Highland Huskies over the Brush Beat Diggers. John Bingley on the hill for the Huskies. And Bingley is sitting on 92 pitches. So he's got a little bit to go, but they're going to be getting to the bullpen here pretty quick after maybe later this inning or for sure the next inning. Highland does have their shortstop, Stetson Hendren, with a 1.17 ERA. He could come in and pitch. We'll see what Coach Juarez does here as that gets a little bit closer. Bingley with a sign from Berkheimer, and Krob swings at the first pitch. Swings through the first pitch, strike 1. Highland with runs in the first and the second inning. Brush with runs in the first and the third innings. Swung at and missed by Krob. Down in the count, no balls, 2 strikes. The pitch from Bingley upstairs. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Bingley working quickly, the offering, and that ball fouled back into the screen. The 1-2 pitch, Bingley to Berkheimer. Krob at the plate. Curve ball and swung and missed. Ball gets away from the catcher. Catcher throws down to DJ. Rogers at first. 2-3 on the putout. Keaton Gillick comes to the plate. I think I know what the situation was with the numbers. Brush has their different uniforms on. Eli Klein normally wears. And that ball fouled back and over the fence. by Gillick for strike one. Eli Klein normally wears number 17 when they wear their maroon uniforms with the gold stripes. And today they've got their gray pants on with their yellow uniforms. And Gillick pops that up, and Bingley underneath it and catches it. That's his third pop-up that he's caught today. 2 in foul territory. That one was in fair territory, but an out nonetheless. Two outs in the inning. Caleb Jimenez to the plate. And I think Eli Klein has number 26 with the gold uniform. So that was a good catch by Coach Juarez and his staff. And they called it just at the right time in order to keep Brush with just 2 runs there in the third inning instead of 4 runs for the inning. The pitch was inside to Jimenez. That ball fouled down the third base line. Count evens at 1. John Bingley, 100 pitches, 50 strikes, 50 balls. That pitch upstairs. 2 balls and a strike to Caleb Jimenez, 1 for 1 on the day. Walk and a single, has been on base both times. Caleb Jimenez, the 1-1, fouled back to the screen. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Nobody on base for the Beat Diggers. The pitch, curveball. Umpire called a strike. Inside part of the plate. Bat on shoulder. Rush, no runs, no hits, no Highland errors. Nobody left on base. After 4.5 innings of play, Highland 8, Brush 4. You're listening to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR on the Eastern Plains Sports Network. Brush Beat Diggers trail the Highland Huskies 8-4 as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Highland, the difference in the game is the grand slam by John Bingley in the first inning to give them the 4-run lead over the Beat Diggers. Kenny Garcia comes to the plate. He singled his last at bat. Here we are in the bottom of the 5th inning, and Garcia 1 for 1, and he's walked. The pitch from Metland, strike right down the middle, center cut. Ben Metland gets a sign from Eli Klein. Took a little bit off that pitch, and Kenny Garcia swung through it. Metland ahead in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. 35 pitches for Ben, 21 strikes. The pitch changed the eye level, and that pitch was out of the zone. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Metland, the offering. And that ball hit out towards Krob in center field. Krob about 3 steps in, squeezes the ball for the out. Straight away center field, didn't have to move much. So out in the inning, Sawyer Morgan comes to the plate. Morgan walked his first 2 times at the plate, flew out his last at bat, 0 for 1 on the day. And that ball fouled by Morgan down the left field line past Coach Juarez and Caleb Jimenez, who's playing third. So Metland ahead in the count, no balls and a strike. The pitch just outside. There's a chill in the air. The 1-1 pitch from Metland, and that ball hit out to right field to Thatcher Queen. Thatcher Queen over to his left, squeezes the ball for the out. As Queen moved towards the line. 2 outs in the inning. Metlin a lot more efficient with his pitches than Trey Romero was. Trey seemed like he was pitching from behind just about every batter. Metlin, the pitch, inside, ball one. I like what Trey Romero does as he throws. He has good pace, and his breaking ball is very good. Metlin just pulled a string on that one. Yeah. And Stetson Hendren out on his front foot, swings through that pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. The 1-1 pitch, 2 outs. That ball popped out to left center field. Krob is back, and that's up against the fence. Jillick is going to pick it up in left field, and Hendren is rounded second over to third. Stand-up triple for Stetson Hendren. As that ball came in, he did not slide, and that ball was caught and the tag applied by Caleb Jimenez, the third baseman, just as he stepped right on the bag. So a triple by Hendren to the fence in left center field. DJ Rogers steps in. DJ Rogers is a big boy. And that ball swung at and missed by Rogers. Big cut by number 12. Metlin wiping the ball down. Ahead in the count, no balls and a strike. The offering, and had enough movement on that ball. Rogers swung through that pitch. His head was looking at Coach Juarez down the third baseline, and obviously he missed it. So Metlin ahead in the count, no balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The pitch, strike 3. Nope, umpire called a ball. No block today. Nice pitch by Ben Metlin, framed up nicely by Eli Klein. The offering, swung at and missed, strike 3. Strikeout swinging. So for Highland, no runs on 1 hit. There was 1 runner left on base, no brush errors. After 5 innings complete, Highland 8, Brush 4. You're listening to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. Welcome back to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and Eastern Plains Sports Network. I'm Kevin Fergus. Rose Condis, sound engineer, on the board back at the station in Fort Morgan. Eli Klein comes to the plate here in the top of the 6th inning. John Bingley finishes up his warm-up toss. He's sitting on 103 on his pitches, so he's got a little bit of wiggle room, but we'll see if he completes this inning without having to have a relief pitcher come in. Looks like Highland does have somebody down there in their bullpen. Just awaiting, and we'll see what Highland does with their chess pieces. See what Coach Juarez does. A pitch from Eli Klein, hit down the third baseline, and it is foul. Could have been foul by more than 6 inches. Klein returns to the plate. That would have been a for sure double. The offering, Bingley, swung it and missed by Klein, strike 2. Bingley, Berkheimer working together as a battery mates, and that ball fouled back into the screen. Eli Klein fouls that to the third base dugout. Eli Klein down on the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Bingley doesn't want to throw a ball because his pitches are precious, and that ball swung at and missed. Klein off to the races down to first base and out on the put out. Catcher to the first baseman. Berkheimer to Rogers, 2-3 on the put out, on the strikeout. Malachi Teal will come to the plate and hit. Thatcher Queen was in that spot. Malachi Teal hits from the left side. Coach Odell just making sure that umpire has it and the scorekeeper for Highland has it. Walks back to the third base coach's box. Bingley, 108 on the pitches. If my count is accurate. Bingley, the pitch to Teal. Pitches outside a ball. It's probably the last batter that Bingley will face. 1 out in the inning. The pitch from Bingley. Ball 2. And that is 110 for John Bingley. Pitch from Bingley to Teal. Ball 3. Malachi Teal with an open stance. Wears number 3 on his back. Taking the pitch. Strike. 3 balls on a strike. Landon Mesh in the on-deck circle. 3-1 pitch to Teal from Bingley. Ball 4. Nice at bat by Malachi Teal. Sophomore. And that's going to be it for John Bingley. Let's see what they end up doing as they need to move some positions around. Looks like DJ Rogers is, no, I think he just was cleaning off the mound. Let's see what they'll be doing here. Sydney Regional Medical Center, don't let an injury keep you out of the game. Check out Sydney Regional Medical Center in Sydney, Nebraska. Learn more at sydneyrmc.com. Sawyer Morgan is going to come in and pitch for Highland. Sawyer Morgan, senior. He's only pitched an inning and a third with a 26.25 ERA. In that inning and a third, he's given up 5 base on balls and 2 strikeouts. So let's set that up and put Sawyer Morgan on the hill. And okay, looks like then Hendren is going to go to second base and Bingley is going to go to shortstop, is what it looks like. Okay, and so Landon Mesh will come to the plate. Brush has runner on at first in Malachi Teal as Sawyer Morgan finishes up his warm-up pitches. Bank of Colorado, they believe in keeping things simple. Apply for the loan you need for your dream home fully online. Visit bankofcolorado.com for all your information today. Bailey Mechanical, get your house the right temperature is difficult. Call 970-522-0471 and let Bailey Mechanical go to work for you. As Sawyer Morgan finishes up his warm-up tosses, brings out Berkheimer, his freshman catcher. They just want to make sure they've got their signs correct and accurate so that there's not any cross-up whatsoever. So Sawyer Morgan on the hill, Landon Mesh. At the plate, pitch in the dirt from Sawyer Morgan, a ball. Blue sky, kind of mostly. The overcast is kind of burned off a little bit. There is sun shining, there are shadows. The 1-0 pitch from Sawyer Morgan to Landon Mesh, 1 out. 6th inning, that pitch is in the dirt, 2 balls and a strike. Malachi Teal on at first for the Beat Diggers. Beat Diggers trail Highland 8-4. Top of the 6th inning, 1 out. And that pitch in the dirt, ball 3. So I'm wondering, because I know Sawyer Morgan has been a good pitcher for Highland in the past, and just looking at his ERA in 1 1/3 innings, 5 base on balls, 2 strikeouts. His release point, I'm just looking at that, is just off, and that's his 4th pitch. And his 4th pitch is in the dirt in front of the plate, and that's ball 4. So Teal moves to second. Mesh goes to first. Ben Metland comes to the plate. And that pitch was a little bit shorter than the other 3 that were all in the dirt. And that one came up and came off Mr. Crabtree, our umpire for today. So Sawyer Morgan will face Ben Metland, pitch, and that ball's in the dirt. So 5 pitches to start Sawyer Morgan here in the top of the 6th inning. See if Brush can capitalize on Morgan's release point and him just being wild. Teal on at second, Mesh on at first. That pitch is short of the plate. Runners move up 2nd and 3rd as that ball goes to the screen. Wild pitch, so ball 2. Teal to 3rd on the wild pitch, and Mesh to 2nd. They're working on that mound like it's nobody's business. It's kind of like, well, you know, probably the mound, your home mound, is probably not the problem. But somehow, some way, Sawyer Morgan over the course of time, his release point is just totally off. 2-0 pitch, and that ball in the dirt. Sawyer Morgan just having a hard time locating Byron Berkheimer's catcher's pud. Everything he's thrown has been 59 feet, and that one to the ball on the fence, and Teal comes in and scores. Mesh on to 3rd. Metland to 1st. So Brush scores the run on the ball 4. And Teal comes in and scores as that is a wild pitch. So runners at 1st and 3rd. Sawyer Morgan, 2 batters, 8 pitches. 2 base on balls. Pitch, and that ball low, and Metland takes 2nd, defensive indifference. So runners at 2nd and 3rd. Brush with 5 runs. They trail 8-5. The pitch. Morgan takes a little bit off that pitch, and he throws a strike at the knees to Percy Odell. Percy Odell 1 for 2. The offering from Morgan, and that ball in the dirt. 2 balls and a strike. You know, for a pitcher that has done well his first 3 years for Highland, this has got to be befuddling to him as well as to his coach, Keith Juarez. 2-1 pitch, and Odell hits that ball out. DJ Rogers at first squeezes it. Runners at second and third stay home right where they are. So Odell pops out to Rogers at first. So 2 outs in the inning. Runners at second and third. Medlin at second. Mesh at third. Trey Romero comes to the plate with 2 ducks on the pond. See if he can bring them home. Sawyer Morgan the pitch, and that ball low. Everything that Sawyer Morgan has thrown is low. He took a little bit off a couple pitches ago, and it was right down the pipe. And that pitch inside, 2 balls, no strikes to Trey Romero. Morgan 14 pitches, 12 balls. Pitch to Romero, that pitch upstairs. 3 balls and a strike. Keith Juarez is just over there worried, beside himself. He doesn't know what's going on. They're trying to get Sawyer Morgan figured out, and that pitch, a strike, center cut right down the middle. Romero was taking all the way. Runners at second and third. Brush down 8-5. Base hit here would put Brush, well, base on ball, puts the bases loaded. Nowhere to put Dylan Krob. 2 outs. Dylan Krob come into the game hitting .250, 1 for 2 on the day. Walk, single, and struck out his last at bat. Pitch from Morgan, and that pitch just outside. Umpire's been consistent. Those are the same pitches that he's not called strikes for Brush, and he's not doing that for Highland. Morgan, the full windup, pitch just outside. 2 balls, no strikes. So Morgan 16 balls, 3 strikes. Not a good ratio. The pitch, a ball, 3. Dylan Krob will be taking. Brush down 8-5. Just seems like they're right on the verge of being able to break this game open. That pitch, a strike right down the middle. Belt high. 3 balls and a strike to Krob. Bases loaded, 2 outs, 8-5, and that ball hit out to the third baseman. And Donovan Juarez fields it in foul ground for the out. Brush has popped up several times out of in foul territory. And anyway, Brush, 1 run, no hits, no Highland errors. Brush leaves 3 runners on base. After 5.5 innings of play, Highland 8, Brush 5. You're listening to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. Welcome back to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. I'm Kevin Fergus, Rose Condis, sound engineer, back at the station. Ben Metlin on the hill for the Beat Diggers. Brush missed out on a great opportunity as they had the bases loaded. They did score 1 run on the wild pitches from the Huskies. So Brush was able to score just the 1 run. It would have been great if they could have got the second or the third run in. It just seems like Brush is just right on the edge of being able to get right back in this game. 8-5. Highland comes to the plate. Highland comes to the plate here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Donovan Juarez, the cleanup hitter. First pitch from Metlin, a ball to Juarez. Juarez 1 for 2 on the day, single, and he's walked and he flew out his last at bat. Brush just right on the edge of being able to get right back in this game, and I really think that, you know, give it enough time that Brush is going to be able to get to Sawyer Morgan, and it's just going to maybe take all 7 innings in order to get there and get that done. So that ball fouled down the third baseline. Count even at 1. Metland, the pitch. Strike right at the knees. Center cut. Metland ahead in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The offering. And that ball hit out towards Odell. 3-hop. He has plenty of time. Odell over to Romero at first. 6-3 on the putout. Byron Berkheimer, catcher, comes to the plate. He's been on base all 3 times. Walked twice and single his last at bat as he hit the ball up the middle. Pitch from Metland to Berkheimer, a strike. Center cut, belt high. Metland working quickly, curveball, strike 2. Metland and the Beat Diggers in the field are engulfed in the sun, and that ball hit out to right center field. And that ball is over Thatcher Queen's head, and Byron Berkheimer is rounding second and headed to third, and he's going to be thrown out. Byron Berkheimer with the double, but thrown out from right field to the second base to the third baseman. So 9-4-5 was how you would score it. So that's a second out in the inning. Nice relay by Brush. The ball just made the gap, and it got past, is that Queen and right, or is that Teal and right? Anyway, nice play, being able to hit the cuts and be able to get it to Caleb Jimenez, where he applied the tag at third base. Pitch to John Bingley, a strike. 2 outs in the inning. It's plays like that. Brush takes care of what they need to defensively. Then they're going to come to the plate. They're going to get opportunities in order to be able to score some runs and get the victory here today. That pitch upstairs to Bingley. Bingley was the difference in the game. Hit a grand slam in the bottom of the first inning. The 1-1 pitch, low and away. 2 balls and a strike to Bingley. Bingley, pitcher of record for Highland at this point. Pitch from Metland, and that ball hit out towards Caleb Jimenez at third, picks it up, throws it over to first. 5-3 on the putout. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. After 6 complete innings of play, Highland 8, Brush 5. You're listening to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. Brush Beat Digger Baseball, we go to the top of the 7th inning with the score Highland 8, Brush 5. This is Brush's last opportunity. Sawyer Morgan on the hill for Highland. Came in the 6th inning in relief of John Bingley, who had expired his 110 pitches. And Sawyer Morgan threw 22 pitches in that 6th inning and threw 17 of those as balls, but was able to get out of the inning just giving up the 1 run. Keaton Gillick will come to the plate here in the top of the 7th. Game time, we're sitting at 2 hours. You're listening to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. Last pitch, throw down by Berkheimer. Ball skips, of course, into right field. And let's see what we got. It still says the temperature is 56. I don't believe it. I'm freezing over here. Of course, I'm sitting in the shade. Amber Odell, she's sitting over here. She's sitting in the shade also. There's a few people that are sitting in the sun, but they've got blankets themselves. Sawyer Morgan with the pitch. Keaton Gillick, that pitch upstairs. The 1-0 pitch from Morgan to Gillick, a strike right down the middle. Center cut, belled high. 1-1 the count. Morgan the pitch. And that ball hit out towards left field, up and over the left fielder's head, up against the fence. Gillick with a double. Caleb Jimenez comes to the plate. He's 1 for 2 on the day. I just think that Sawyer Morgan, for him to be able to locate his pitches, he's got to take quite a bit off in order to be able to get in the strike zone. And his pitches are flattened out, and Brush is able to put bat on ball. This is going to be good for Brush. Pitch is low to Caleb Jimenez. Gillick on at second. Nobody out. Morgan gets a sign from Berkheimer. The offering, and that pitch hit Jimenez. He'll take first base on the hit by pitch. Eli Klein comes to the plate. Klein 0 for 3 at this point in the game. So runners at first and second. Brush down on the score, 8-5, top of the 7th inning. The pitch from Morgan, and that ball popped up on the attempted bunt, and Berkheimer, it just came off the end of his catcher's pad for a foul. Ball, strike 1. Gillick led off the inning with a double to the fence and left field. Jimenez to first base on the hit by pitch. Attempted bunt by Eli Klein. 0-1 the count, nobody out. Runners at first and second, the pitch. And that ball pops off of Berkheimer's glove. He throws down to third base. Gillick in safely, and following up was Jimenez to first, or from first to second. Strike to the batter. Owen 2's the count to Eli Klein, the pitch, and that ball, strike 3. Strikeout looking. First out in the inning. Runners at second and third. Brush down 8-5. Malachi Teal comes to the plate. He walked his last at bat. Pitch. Strike at the knees. Outside corner to the left-handed hitting sophomore Malachi Teal. See if Teal can get a base hit, knock in 2 runs. The pitch just outside. Ball on a strike to Teal. Number 3 on his back. Gillick on at third. Jimenez on at second. Brush down in the score, 8-5. 1-1's a count, 1 out. The offering. And that ball in the dirt. Good eye by Teal. 2 balls and a strike. Everyone's on the edge of their seat just to see how Brush is going to be able to pull this game out. 2-1's a count. Morgan's a pitcher. The offering. And that pitch is upstairs and out of the zone. 3 balls and a strike to Malachi Teal. Sawyer Morgan, 34 pitches, 23 balls. Wow. The offering. Strike at the knees. Full count to Malachi Teal. It's a good pitch by Morgan. He's persevering, trying to throw strikes. But his delivery and his release point is off. And that ball fouled by Teal back to the screen. Landon Mesh on deck. Top of the order. Full count. Let's see what Teal can do here. The offering from Morgan to Berkheimer, the pitch, and that ball fouled down the third base side, out of play. Eight to 5. Brush trailing, top of the 7th inning. Runners at second and third, 1 out. Base hit would score 1 run for sure. Perhaps 2 to pull Brush within 1. Let's see what happens here. The payoff, and the ball's in the dirt. Teal goes to first base, and Gillick comes in and scores. Teal at first, Jimenez up to third. Score is 8 to 6. Gillick scores on the wild pitch. So runners at first and third, 1 out. Teal was a left-handed hitter. Landon Mesh steps in from the left side as well, facing Sawyer Morgan, the relief pitcher for Highland. And that pitch, a strike at the knees. Outside corner. 8 to 6. Brush with 1 out. Runners at first and third. Sawyer Morgan checking the runner at first. Teal. Jimenez at third. The pitch. And that ball fouled down the third base side by Mesh. So Mesh down on the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Good hitter, though. Mesh was hitting .478 coming into the game, 1 for 3 with a home run in the first inning. And that ball hit, and another foul ball. Donovan Juarez over third baseman. That's the 4th pop-up in foul ground that Brush has got outs on today. Wow. So 2 outs. Two outs. Ben Metlin steps in. Runners at first and third. And that ball to the screen. Wild pitch. Caleb Jimenez comes and scores, standing up to make it 8 to 7. Another wild pitch by Sawyer Morgan. Malachi Teal moves up to second base. So the tying run at second base, 2 outs. Ben Metlin at the plate. Sawyer Morgan on the hill, the pitch. Strike right down the middle, center cut. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2 outs. 8 to 7 is our score. Brush with 2 runs here in the top of the 7th inning, and that ball swung at weakly by Metlin. Down on the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes, 2 outs. The tying run is at second base. Metlin, 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Sawyer Morgan, the pitch. Teal leads off at second, the pitch, and that ball hit down the third baseline, fair. Tying run is coming in to score. Metlin's going into second with a stand-up double. So Brush has tied it up here in the top of the 8th inning. on the 2-out double by Ben Metlin. Wow, that's exciting. So runner at second, Percy Odell comes to the plate, 1 for 3 on the day. DJ Rogers, first baseman, comes over. Pat Sawyer-Morgan on the back. Byron Berkheimer, the catcher, comes out, says, hey, let's get this last guy, get to the dugout and score. But Brush has scored 3 runs in the top of the 7th inning in order to tie this game up. Percy Odell at the plate, and that ball's in the dirt, wild pitch, and the lead run is at third base, Ben Metlin. 1 ball and no strikes to Percy Odell. Sawyer-Morgan, an effective pitcher in the past, but goodness, he is just all over the place. That pitch, a strike at the knees. 1 ball, 1 strike to Percy Odell. Brush has persevered and scored 1 run in the 6th, 3 runs in the 7th. Lead run is at third base. And that pitch on the outside corner, a strike. Percy down in the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. 8-8 is our score in the top of the 7th inning. The pitch from Morgan to Odell, and that ball hit up the middle, and Brush has a lead, 9-8. Percy Odell with an RBI in order for Brush to be able to take the lead on the single up the middle. Trey Romero comes to the plate. Brush with a 9-8 lead. Wow, this is amazing. Brush with 2 in the first, 2 in the third, 1 in the 6th, and that pitch to Trey Romero is outside, ball 1. 4 here in the top of the 7th for Brush to be able to take the lead. And that pitch inside to Romero, and the catcher was off his glove and off the umpire, and he couldn't locate it. And Percy Odell moves to second base on the pass ball. And that pitch, a strike to Trey Romero at the knees, inside corner of the plate. 2 balls and a strike. 2 outs here in the top of the 7th inning. Brush with a 9-8 lead over the Highland Huskies. Wow, wow, wow. The pitch from Morgan, and that ball hit towards DJ Rogers at first. He steps on first base unassisted. Brush scores 4 runs on 3 hits. There were no errors, and they leave 1 runner on base after 6.5 innings of play. Brush 9, Highland 8. You're listening to Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. Brush Beat Digger Baseball. Brush takes a lead in the top of the 7th inning on Percy Odell's line drive up the middle to score Ben Metlin. Brush ahead 9-8. Metlin on the hill for your Diggers as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. As we go to the bottom of the 7th inning, the 7, 8, 9 hitters for Highland come to the plate. And we got a pinch hitter, number 10. Let's change this around. Lucas Kopetsky, a freshman, comes to the plate. Kopetsky hitting 250 on the season. Big, tall, lanky guy. Ben Metlin gets a sign from Eli Klein, the pitch. And that ball hit out towards Dylan Krob in center field. 3, 4, 5 steps in, squeezes it. Out number 1, 1 pitch, 1 out. Amazing. Brush takes the lead with 4 runs in the top of the 7th inning after Highland has had the lead since the 1st inning when John Bingley hit a grand slam. They had the 8-2 lead, but Brush has just chipped away with 2 in the 3rd, 1 in the 6th, 4 in the 7th in order to get the lead, and that ball fouled off by DeAndre De Hoyos, the number 8 hitter. Boy, this couldn't have set up any better for the Brush Beat Diggers. get the lead, and then you're facing the 7, 8, 9 hitters. They've got one out on one pitch and a strike to De Hoyos, and that pitch is up and in. 1 ball and 1 strike. Ben Metlin, 61 pitches in relief of Trey Romero, the pitch. And that ball popped up, and Trey Romero in and squeezes it at first base for the out. Pop up to Romero in the infield. 2 outs in the inning. Number 9, hitter for the Highland Huskies, but 1 for 2 on the day. Kenny Garcia, another freshman, comes to the plate. Garcia with a slight frame, probably 5'4", maybe 130 pounds, dripping wet. The pitch from Metlin. The pitch, strike at the knees, outside corner. Metlin ahead in the count. No balls and a strike, 2 outs. Brush with the lead, 9-8. The pitch from Metlin, and that ball hit down the right field line, foul, past Trey Romero at first. So Ben Metlin ahead in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. This is really cool. Brush has come back and taken the lead in the top of the 7th inning with 4 runs. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th inning. The 0-2 pitch to Kenny Garcia, strike 3, swung at. Ben Metlin, the win for the Brush Beet Diggers as they came all the way back from an 8-2 deficit and scored 2 in the 3rd, 1 in the 6th, 4 in the 7th to win 9-8. We will take 1 minute. We'll come back and we'll wrap everything up. You're listening to Beet Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network. The Brush Postgame Show is brought to you by Advanced Agri-Solutions. Get a full plan of seed, food, and water for your field. Now is the time to begin your planning for this next year's growing season. Call Dusty or Roxy at 970-571-2024. Brush Beet Diggers come all the way back from an 8-2 deficit in order to be able to win 9-8. John Bingley for Highland pitched 5 1/3 innings. He threw 113 pitches, and then he had to come out. And then they brought in the senior, Sawyer Morgan, and he threw 53 pitches, but he couldn't find the plate, and Brush was able to capitalize that in the 6th and the 7th inning, scoring 5 runs to secure the victory. Let's see, Sawyer Morgan ended up walking four guys. John Bingley walked 8 guys. Okay, so that's that. For Brush, Trey Romero, he had a hard time finding the plate. He went 1 2/3 innings, 71 pitches, and Ben Metlin came in relief, and he gets the win with 65 pitches. And Trey Romero gave up 6 of those 8 runs were earned, and Ben Metlin shut them out from that point forward. Ben Metlin had 4 strikeouts and gave up 4 hits. Trey Romero had 3 strikeouts and gave up 4 hits, but also gave up 7 walks. In the first inning, the first pitch of the game, Landon Mesh hit a home run down in the right field rocks that was over the fence, and that set the tone for Brush. You would think that they would be able to just steamroll this team, but they couldn't. And then Trey Romero had a hard time in the bottom of the first inning and walking guys, and then John Bingley hit the grand slam in order to give Highland a 6-2 lead. And then in the second inning, then they scored 2 more runs to take the 8-2 lead. But then Brush was able to battle back in the game, and they scored 2 in the 3rd to make it 8-4, and it sat that way until the 7th inning, until Bingley came out. Bingley came out, and then Sawyer Morgan had a hard time locating his pitches, and his release point was off, and he ended up walking a number of guys, as I outlined previous, and Brush was able to score 1 run, but you would have thought that they could have scored more in the 6th inning, but they were down 8-5 as we went to the bottom or the top of the 7th inning. And to top everything off, Percy Odell ended up coming up clutch, and he ended up having a line drive base hit in order to knock Ben Metlin in order to give Brush the victory. For Brush, Landon Mesh was 1 for 4. Ben Metlin was 1 for 2. Percy Odell 2 for 4. Dylan Krob 1 for 3. Keaton Gillick was key there in the beginning of the 7th inning, 1 for 3. And Caleb Jimenez 1 for 2. And that's it. Brush had 7 hits on the day, but they scored the 9 runs, and they were able to capitalize on 12 base on balls. Wow. Brush did strike out 9 times, but they had 12 base on balls and 1 hit by pitch. So Brush was able to score 5 runs in the 6th and the 7th inning in order to secure the victory. Brush moves to 6-2 on the season, and again, they're 2-0 in the league. Their next game is going to be Thursday when they play Berthoud at home, and that'll be weather permitting, because I know the forecast isn't great the rest of the week, but we'll see how much moisture we get, and I'm sure Brush will do everything they can in order to have the field ready in order to play. So Ben Metlin gets the win and relief. Sawyer Morgan takes the loss for Highland. Highland drops to 2-3 on the season, and that pretty much spells everything out. The line score for Brush, 9 runs on 7 hits. They had 1 error. There were 10 runners left on base. For Highland, they scored 8 runs on 8 hits, and they had 1 error, and they left 7 runners on base. So Brush with the victory. The sound engineer and producer of Brush Beat Digger Baseball is Rose Condis. I'm Kevin Fergus with the final score, Brush 9, Highland 8. You've been listening to the Brush Beat Digger Baseball on 1010 KSIR and the Eastern Plains Sports Network.